Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Do remember, if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right here and select all to receive all notifications upon the videos that come out on this channel. Also, my backup channel is Tony Harvin Network, if you'd like to do the same. Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Tony Harvin. We also linked up to my other YouTube channel, Tony Harvin Network. So we're doing a live in reference to two different YouTube channels at the same time, Tony Harvin and Tony Harvin Network. I greet everybody upon this evening. We're here to talk about some sports. We did the live commentary last night. On the fight last night. And for a lot of people who don't know, one of my first videos was sports. You understand that? So, and I think I put that in my description about this channel, health and wellness and stuff like that in sports that we're going to be doing, for sure. So I hope everybody have a wonderful day upon this day, for sure. You funny. What up, Robert Anderson? What up, BZ? You said who won? You said who won the fight? What up, Nicole Martin? What up, Flemings? So we're gonna screen share in a bit of the fight. We're just gonna go over it. Last night was pretty interesting. They had about a couple of undercards, before the main event, and it was real cool. You know what I'm saying? Doing the commentary for the first time, here on YouTube. It turned out pretty cool. So I might do more of those things on here, as far as like live commentary and things like that. You said you didn't see it. Well, I'm gonna play a little bit of it on here. It's gonna be more so like a reaction recap to it of the highlights. I'm not gonna play the whole fight. I believe the whole fight, it lasted 7 rounds, and Garcia, he had lost by a knockout. So we're here to go over that recap and things like that. I saw some people on Facebook and saying some stuff and things like that. Listen, y'all can come join the conversation and things like that. There's nothing wrong with talking about sports or what have you. All right, so we're gonna screen share. All right, quick. I'm gonna screen share this. Let's see if I can. You said you didn't see it, so I'm just gonna screen share it. The volume may be low. So you said 7 rounds. You said 7 sounds like it was a good fight. I mean, it was pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. If anybody knows boxing and stuff like that, or any type of sport, they know the significance to it and the sweet science there. He says, why was Mike Tyson there? Why was Mike Tyson at the fights? There was a lot of fighters there. A lot of fighters there. Conor McGregor was there. I believe Deontay Wilder, the Charlo brothers. Devin Haney was there. David Benavidez was there. Mike Tyson. They had basketball player Paul Pierce. Ray Lewis was there from Baltimore Ravens. There's a lot of people out there. Nelly. Not that it's about celebrities or whatever the case may be, but they go out to watch the fight. Entertainment purposes. What up, Carla Petty? What up, Willie Timpson? Hope all is well. So we're gonna check out the highlights right here. A little bit of the highlights. So you said who won the fight? All right. So I guess that's the beginning of the fight right here. It's just highlights right here. This is all highlights. So I guess Davis was complaining. This was in round 2 of Garcia, hitting him on the back of the head. And one of the things about boxing and things like that, rules is rules. Certain things you can't do, hit behind the head, hitting the jewels and stuff like that. Any type of wrestling tactics and things like that. And also depends on what's in the contract or what's in the if you below the professional level and the amateurs, it's all up to the commission or who enslates the rules of that fight, of that bout, that you have to follow. So Davis, what's up, Yesenia? So Davis was, complaining to the ref, rightfully, that Mr. Garcia was hitting him on the back of the head, All right. So we're gonna go a little bit more. Whew! That was a good shot right there. I say that was a good shot. All right. So this is second round. Right here, we're gonna run it back a little bit. So, as Garcia, this is the first knockdown. That was the first knockdown in round 2. As Garcia was coming in with the left hook, I believe that's with the camp of Gervonta Davis. They was training upon that. They know Ryan Garcia loves to throw that hook, So he said he went down real fast in that clip. So we're gonna check it back again. As he coming in with the left hook, a lot of times you could tell somebody's throwing a punch because it's telegraphed, or they do it a lot, or they can see the person's shoulder in movement, or any type of movement on the body. A certain punch is coming. So, Davis, his jab is out there. He's a southpaw person. What many people don't know, southpaw is you put your right hand in front. Orthodox is the left hand lead. So Davis sticks his jab out there a little bit, I guess for a setup, but he sees the hook coming. So either you slip or you just roll underneath it. And after you roll a slip, you got to come out. You got to come out with something. You know what I'm saying? What's up to David Span? He said, "What up, James?" You says Ryan's walk-in song was good. It was good, but wasn't good enough to help him win. All right. So Ryan comes with a hook. Boom. Straight left hand. I believe he got hit on the nose or whatever. And like I said last night in the live commentary, one of the most painful shots in the face is getting hit in your nose. That's very painful right there. He says, "What up? What up, Jeremy Dunbar?" All right. So he went down quick. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take a look at his feeding level. All right, because he stepped right into that one right there, for sure. Boom. Wow. So as he's on the ground and stuff like that, man, he gets back up. A lot of people they don't know what it feels like to get dropped. Especially people who don't even fight at all. So I do commend Ryan for getting back up off the canvas, off the mat and stuff like that to continue to fight. Not only you have to deal with the physicalities to it, but you got to deal with the mentals to it, because you got a lot of people watching you now. It could be mentally embarrassing to get dropped like that in front of millions of people and stuff like that. But I do commend him for getting back up. Military, you says Ryan should have fought on the outside and kept the jab going to keep Tank off him. Yeah, that's true. But like he said in the interview, he got a little bit over himself and stuff like that, overconfident, and he made some mistakes in there. He just got overexcited, wanting to throw punches and stuff like that, thinking he could really catch Tank. But little did he know that it was all a setup. What up, Ernest Beard? Emmanuel, he says, "I saw it last night. It was awesome. Absolutely. Took him off guard." Yep. Span says, "I was going for Tank until I seen him walking with a lime purse." He said a lime purse. Wow. I mean, him walking out with a lime purse, it don't take away from his skill and his talent, and things like that when he's in the ring. I guess that's the way of, people with money. They got the males wearing a purse or a male purse or whatever. It means, I think, he's carrying a lot of money for the most part.
You know, if a man is carrying a purse and things like that, they're carrying cash. Me personally, I wouldn't carry cash if I had that amount of money, man. You know, there's such thing as debit cards and stuff like that, Cash App and Zelle and all that other stuff. I'm not carrying them around a bunch of cash like that. No way. You said you fell asleep on that part. What up, JC1? You said he had his back turned, knowing that punch really got him good. Absolutely, absolutely. At military says you said is that Christian to be watching that? Well, listen, I'm a grown man. You understand that? You know, I watch what I watch. You know, it's a sport that I watch that was into. You know, I listen. I I knew somebody was gonna come on here and say something like that. You know, when we was live last night, I was surprised. You know, nobody didn't say nothing like that. I always think about stuff like that. You know, well, what people don't know is my first video was boxing on here, so it doesn't matter what people say. You know, and in my description, like I said, I'm going to talk about sports. You know, whether it's Christian, Muslim, or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, nobody has a YouTube channel with just a bunch of scripture on it. You know what I'm saying? They they got some kind of creative content that they're putting up at the end of the day. All right. You said you're saying. Let me read your question again. You says, is that Christian to be watching that? Well, I'm not here to talk about the scriptures right now. I'm here to talk about sports. You know, so whether Christians or Catholics or whoever have an issue with boxing or whatever, that's on them. I got nothing to do with that. That's their own personal feelings at the end of the day, you know. So you're gonna have I probably have some more people come on here, or some people watching, oh, is that Christian? Or why he's putting that out? Don't he put out the truth of God and stuff like that, and things like that, and all this other stuff, you know. But that's people that's people's own opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, in my what I said the other day, it was a quote I said, you know, in reference to people's skeletons and whatnot. You know, people want to talk about others people's skeletons, but they got a whole closet of skeletons in their own spiritual dealings in general. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have so-called. I'm not talking about you, Sion. I'm not talking about you. I'm just speaking in general. Because I've dealt with this stuff before. You know, even before putting up boxing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You got people who are in the church and stuff like that, or who are pastors and things like that, that will come on here and have a comment. Well, is that Christian or God like to be hitting the bags and stuff like that? But I look at their picture and they like 400 pounds and like 5'1". You understand that? You understand what I'm saying? Like, how you talk about somebody working out, but you sitting there exercising a cheeseburger to your mouth all day. You understand that? So I run into people like that all the time. You know, when they have something to say, I go check out the YouTube channel or the Facebook page. And, you know, like I said, it could be like 600 pounds, 5'3". You know what I mean? Have a picture with them going to Popeyes at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So a lot of people got skeletons in their closet, but quick to talk about other people. I could be talking about Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? I will have at least one person to come on the live. We talking about sports here. We trying to keep it sports, you know? But it's funny. He says Mayweather is crazy for having $10,000 on him at all times. Well, you said Mayweather is crazy for having 10 grand on him at all time. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because, you know, he's around bodyguards and stuff like that. And, you know, he's a billionaire. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't really call it on that one. But as we being like not billionaires, we don't understand that. I'm not taking up for him or nothing like that. But me personally, I wouldn't carry $10,000 every day, even if I was a billionaire. I wouldn't even have all that jewelry on or nothing like that, you know? I'd just be dressing just like this. You know what I'm saying? If I was a millionaire or billionaire. Listen, I go to Walmart, buy some clothes. I ain't got to go to Louis Vuitton. I ain't got to go to the Gucci store. I mean, I got some good clothes and stuff like that and whatnot, maybe once in a while. But every day, all day, nah, no way. Fleming says everything isn't sin. All right, let's go back to the recap of the fight. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit. We're gonna bring it back. Whew, look at that. Whew, wow. Right in the nose. Right in the nose. You know, I don't know if y'all been hit before. How many of y'all have been punched in the face before? You know, how many of y'all have been punched in the face? You know, some of y'all probably haven't had a physical fight ever. You know, David Spann is laughing. He's laughing. Mikey says, who do you think would win between Tank and Devin Haney? Well, honestly, I probably think it'll be a draw. Honestly, you know, that's what I think. You know, between Haney and Tank, you know, all of them, whether it's Tank, Devin, Shakur, you know, they all been in the same gym training at one point. You know, the Mayweather gym in Vegas. You know, so they got history. They know kind of how each other fight and stuff like that. You know, but we'll see. He says, who you got, Tank versus Haney and Tank versus Shakur? Well, I think Shakur, if he stick to the game plan, using his boxing skills and defense, he could outpoint Tank. He won't knock him out, but if he stay on his bicycle, he could win a fight by decision, you know? All right. He says they just took like you say they just look like they're so angry. Well, it's boxing. You know, I'm not gonna go into a boxing match, you know what I'm saying, holding a hearts with chocolates in it. You understand that? This is the fight business. This is a fight game. You know, I mean, people in church. I ran across some people in church that look meaner than the devil, that act meaner than the devil. You understand that? But this is the fight game right here. I mean, I'm not gonna go to a fight and say, man, I want to hug you. You know what I mean? No. You understand that? No way. But this is a tough sport at the end of the day. You said they look angry. Jeremy says, I think everyone needs to look at themselves before they criticize every one of us do things that are not of God that we need to work on. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was at the Truth of God Church branch in Minnesota today. Minnesota. Who the minister out there? Is that Tyrone Jennings, the minister out there in Minnesota? Miguel says, I enjoyed the fight. Here in Mexico is free. Wow. Wow, the fight is free in Mexico. Wow. Wow, we need that. Jared James says, I could have been a professional boxer, but as a kid, I got into too much trouble. And every time when I did, my parents made me stop boxing. Wow. Wow, man. I mean, how old are you? I'm 21 years old. I am too old to start back boxing to get in the professional league. No, you're not. No, you're not. You ain't too old. I believe Tevin Farmer from Philadelphia, he started at 19. Deontay Wilder, he started a little late too. You know, I believe he boxed about 2 years, got into the Olympics, became a bronze medalist and stuff like that. You know, I mean, it's not too late. 21 years of age is young. I mean, don't listen to the politics of boxing. Some people start at 30. You know, some people start at 40. I remember a story, a guy who got out of prison from doing some time. He was about 50 years of age, and he had his first professional fight at the age of 50. You understand? So it's never too late, you know what I'm saying, to do something. You know, I mean, it's worth a try and whatnot. You just got to be in it every day, running, eating right, stuff like that. Get into regional tournaments, a Golden Glove, Diamond Glove, ringside, PAL tournament that be out there in Oxnard, California. You know, I mean, hey, sky's the limit. I need someone who could train me in boxing. Depending on your areas, should be boxing gyms out there. Tyrone says boxing is mentioned in the Bible. Now Floyd carrying 10,000 on him at all times. He could be looking to bless someone. Okay. All right. Jeremy says, I've been punched in the face a few times. I used to fight a lot as a kid. All right. All right. So I like what Tank did on this one. He took that punch that Ryan gave him right there. Another one. All right. All right. That's the body shot right there. That ended everything. All right. Couldn't take it no more. Listen, a body shot is worse than a face shot. You know what I mean? Majority of the times. A body shot. Miguel says, but I did feel guilty because now Tank is promoting LGBT. Well, I mean, YouTube is promoting it. You know what I'm saying? And we on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the clothes we buy, the food we buy, and stuff like that. You know, so the man is promoting LG, however you say it. I didn't know. At the end of the day, you know, I'm not there for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm there to watch. You know what I'm saying? The talent of two fighters. That's it. You know, if me personally have something to say about a person is promoting something contrary to the word, then I gotta look at YouTube because that's all YouTube is doing. They promote a lot of this, you know, nonsense and all these other social media platforms that we could use for positivity. You know, he says, "Who fights smiling?" It says Tony gonna go to the fight, bringing flowers. David says, "Not gonna lie, I've been waiting for Terrence versus Spence. It's unified. Let's make it happen." B Hop, a late start. Bernard Hopkins. Yeah, Bernard Hopkins had skills though. I mean, he was fighting in prison. You know, I believe he was boxing in prison. It was another fighter that was boxing in prison also. I think he fought Tyson. I forgot his name. You know, it's some boxers that, you know, they got boxing leagues in prison. When they come out, they turn pro. You know. He says, "Are you reading off of Facebook?" He says, "Are you reading off Facebook, not seeing the comments?" He says Hurricane Carter, Ruben Hurricane Carter, out of Paterson, New Jersey. If I can remember his story, he was fighting in prison when he was younger. He says, "Are you reading off of Facebook, not seeing the comments?" What you mean? What you mean, Flemings? You're probably on Tony Harvin Network. You know, it's two YouTube channels that's linked together. So I can see the comments from both channels. You know, but if a person is on one channel, they're not going to see the comments from the other channel. So if you're on Tony Harvin Network, which is a low key channel, and you know, and if I'm on Tony Harvin, my main channel, and I'm seeing a lot of comments, you won't see those comments on Tony Harvin Network. I can see both channel comments. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the recap of the fight, man, it was a good fight. At the end of the day, you know, it's entertainment. You know, it's entertainment at the end of the day, which a lot of people like to watch boxing, mixed martial arts, or whatever, and things like that. At the end of the day, you know, both guys went home to their families. You know what I'm saying? This is what people train for in boxing and whatnot and things like that. So he got hit with a body shot. I don't know if you all been hit with a body shot. You know, I don't know that. But being hit with a body shot, especially the way he did, it could knock the wind out you. It could really paralyze your body for a few seconds, whereas though paralyze your breathing. You know, so he did smart by not getting up and taking a knee on that. He says Devin will take the draw. What do you mean by that? He says it was a long wait before it got started and ended so quick. Oh yeah, I mean we had to wait about how long that took? About 2 hours and a half almost. waiting for that main event. You know, if it wasn't for the last undercard fight, we probably would have had to wait longer because that guy David Morrell, he had knocked out the other guy in the first round. You know, that was the last undercard fight, which was the main event. You know, Jeremy Dunbar says, "You, what do you mean by that? You?" I'm not getting what you're trying to say, Jeremy Dunbar. What are you trying to say? You know, what up, Craig? What up, Craig? You was on last night. You know, on a live commentary. We just doing a recap on this fight that happened last night. You know, so a body shot will knock the wind out of you. You know, it would definitely knock the wind out you. You know, and this is coming from a fighter who's in shape. You know, so imagine if it was a person, a normal person who don't work out. You know what I'm saying? They probably would have caught an asthma attack or something like that. You know, but he says when you get hit with body shots, it takes the breath out of you. Absolutely, it does. It can really paralyze your breathing for a little while. You know, and it's no joke. For real, it's no joke. I mean, it may look like somebody could take it, but no. You said that body shot was vicious. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to continue it. So imagine what's going through his mind right now. Look at the guy. Imagine what's going through his mind right now. You know, you want to fight? Listen, millions of people watching you. He said asthma attack. Millions of people watching you. You know, whether you're a ball player, you're a fighter, you're a football player, hockey, golf, whatever. You know, you worked hard. He's been boxing since he was 7 years of age. Now you're in the main event. You know, the fight of your life that you've been dreaming for, hoping for. You know, and you train hard for this. You know what I'm saying? What you gonna do? You know, what are you gonna do? So imagine what he's going through right now. You know, as the crowd is roaring on. Feel it, man. That's serious. Absolutely. You know, absolutely. You know, so that's how the fight ended. You know, like I said earlier, we had some undercard fights with that too. So normally when it's a main event fight like that, you will have a couple of undercard fights, I guess, to get the crowd warmed up and stuff like that, and for the prospects, you know, to get their shine on a main event card at the end of the day. You know, all right. So we're gonna go through some other stuff. You know what I mean? So in a fight like this, you know, I think somebody asked me yesterday. Did somebody ask me how did they get paid and stuff like that? I think somebody asked me that. You know, how does fighters get paid? You know, I mean, it's a job. You're training every day for about 8 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks in training camp. You know, some go away from their family and things like that to get their mind right. How does a fighter get paid? How does a fighter get paid? Well, it depends. You know, right now, I think Gervonta is his own promoter now, is his own boss now. You know, he used to be with Floyd Mayweather. You understand that? So if you with somebody, you know, let's say if you work for a company, now you want to get on your own business to what you was doing at that company because you feel as though you'll be much more successful, you know, versus just being a regular employee. Now you want to be your own boss. What up, Renee? Which is good. You know what I'm saying? Have a boss business mentality. You know what I'm saying? At least get something out of the field that you're in, especially if it's sports. You know, because a lot of these athletes, they get these millions, and after 3 to 5 years of retiring, all that money is gone. They done blew it. You understand? But because they're still trying to live this lifestyle, but they're not receiving the same amount of payments, you know, after they done retire or they haven't saved or made smart investments. So, You made a good point. Mayweather is a smart businessman. He is. He made smart investments. That's why he's a billionaire, not mainly from boxing, but making smart investments with his money as he was fighting. The man, I don't think he drank to smoke weed. You talk about, I give him that. You know what I'm saying? As a fighter, he never smoked weed and drink and stuff like that. To my knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So he learned business wise from Mayweather, which is good. Get your own promotional company, and now you the boss. Now you make the calls instead of a boxing promotional company paying you or telling you who you have to fight or when you have to fight or how many fights you have on this contract. So you can sign let's say you sign a 3-fight deal, or you can sign a 1-fight deal. Usually that happens with beginners. As far as like, when I say beginners, I mean like those who haven't been like in the Olympics, been top Golden Gloves and stuff like that. You're a journeyman now. You're talking about journeyman. All right. So you may go to a promoter. Listen, I'm a fighter. I want to have a fight, and if you don't have no type of, recognition, whether it's on social media, whether it's in your record or anything, they're going to put you against like a gold medalist, Olympic and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, you might get paid $500, for that fight, and you're a journeyman. Now, if you beat that guy, now your stocks go up at the end of the day. I think Gervonta got paid $500 his first fight. I think it was out in DC, if I'm not mistaken. So he got paid $500 his first fight, Gervonta Davis, and his stocks just went up from there. So he probably signed like, he wasn't with Mayweather in the beginning. I believe the fighter Adrian Broner was his friend. Took him to the Mayweather gym, and that's when Mayweather found an interest in him, to want to sign him. So after some fights and stuff like that he had, he signed with Floyd at some point in his career. Now, I don't know how many fights for the deal he signed it for, but after a certain amount of fights, if you sign a 5-fight deal, you could sign a 5-fight deal for 20 million, 10 million, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And after that's over with, you have a decision to make. Do you want to build your own, or do you want to stay with Floyd? So that's what they was going through not too long ago, but respectfully, I believe Floyd and Leonard Ellaby is still in his career in some form of fashion, keeping him rooted to go into the right direction as far as like business wise, All right. So, boxing, you can get paid, some, like I said, this is a sports type of live and things like that. What up, Drella? Hope all is well. Hope all is well for sure. We're just here talking about sports in general. How does a fighter get paid? But when you're a fighter, when you get paid and stuff like that, you gotta understand that you have a team to pay. You have a trainer to pay. You have a cut man to pay. If you got an accountant, you got to pay that person. You got to pay your lawyer. You got to pay taxes in the state you're fighting in, federal taxes and stuff like that, because it's not like a regular working check. You understand? Whereas those taxes is being taken out, right? So if you get $1 million check, you don't really get $1 million. You understand that? You don't get it. All right. So you get $1 million check. You understand? Excuse me. you gotta pay the government them taxes, and them taxes ain't no joke. He says, I think of that scene in the beginning of the first Rocky. So you get $1 million check. You got to pay a third to the government. All right. Excuse me for a second. So you got to pay a third to the government, you know, for taxes. So now you're left with about 600,000. Now you got to give about 10-20% to your trainer, 10-20% to your management team. If you got a manager, you know, who set you up with these fights and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So you got to pay a lot. You got to pay a lot of people, you know, in this sport. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are contributing to your career. You says good fight, Team Tank all day. What up? What up? What up, Jesse? What up, DC? Hope all is well. He says the more you make, the more they take. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So when you hear these athletes getting paid such and such, you know, such and such getting 120 million for 4 years, 5 years, you gotta minus half of that. You gotta take half of that off because of them taxes and people you gotta pay and stuff like that, and things of that nature. You know, Uncle Sam won his money. That's something you don't play with. You know, Uncle Sam. All right. He said you from. He said you from Massachusetts. All right. So it was a good fight, man. You know, definitely a good fight. For sure. You know. Let's see if they had anything else on there. Let me see if we can find Ryan Garcia. His post fight interview and things like that that he had to share with the people. All right. Let me see. I don't know because I don't know if this guy used profanity or not and nothing like that. So I'm not gonna play it because I don't know. You know, I listened to it earlier, but I can't really remember what he said, and I don't want to put that stuff up on here. All right. He says, I was wrong about Garcia. I know you was wrong. I listen, I know you was wrong. You know? he was just too overzealous, man. All he had to do was work his jab. That was it. That's all he had to do was work his jab. That's it. You know? Work his jab, move around, and things of that nature. For sure. You know? But overall, man, that was a decent fight. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. You know? He says, greetings, what up, Kim? He says, did he bet his purse? I don't. You mean against with Tank? You know, is that's what you're talking about? He says, I thought Davis was going to win, but I thought it be exciting to be an upset. You know, a lot of people wanted it to be an upset. You know, but you know when you know boxing, you know Ryan wasn't ready. You understand? He wasn't ready. You know, he thought he was ready. He said some people stated that he was drained, exhausted, because he had to lose, you know, a certain amount of weight, and he didn't rehydrate to the weight that he wanted to. Now, the rehydration clause, I believe he could have got up to about 146, but this was a 136 bout. You know, so a lot of times people they lose a lot of weight and then they try to regain a whole bunch of weight when fight time comes. All right. So Kim said he talked a lot of stuff. Oh yeah. When fight time happens, a lot of people talk a lot of stuff. A lot of people talk a lot of stuff. For sure. You know? That's for sure. All right. Let me see. He says Ryan kept getting counted. He should have just used a jab, stick, and move. Oh yeah. I agree with that. That I agree with. You know what I mean? Stick and move. You know? But, you know, people hard headed, man. Definitely hard-headed for sure. You know, if his coach told him that, if his coach was telling him to utilize that jab, and he didn't, you know, that's his mistake. He said there is traffic for no reason because of them rotaries. Oh, I guess you're talking about something else, you know. So let me see if they got more highlights of this. All right. Let's read some of the comments. Let's read some of the comments on YouTube. It says Tank style is like a mixture of Mayweather Jr. and Pacquiao. Those slick moves and overhand left counters. So somebody wrote this on YouTube. Somebody wrote that on YouTube. All right. Somebody else wrote, man, that's a well-placed body shot. That delayed reaction is a, curse word, whatever. Blessings to both. How you gonna curse and say blessings? Says I hope Ryan does not fall into a depression again. Oh yeah, that's another thing that happened to Ryan Garcia before. He fell into a state of depression. Now you can have all the money, all the fame, but you still can fall under that depression and stress state. He said that body shot made my stomach hurt. Wow. That's something deep right there. All right. Somebody wrote that second round knockdown broke his spirit. It was all down here from there. I agree. It definitely did broke his spirit, from his fighting spirit, because he slowed down a lot, after that knockdown. All right. Okay, let's go to some more comments. Somebody said, where's the speed that Ryan showed in his training? Wow. So somebody asked about a purse. They got it up on here, Fight Hub TV, if you want to go check that out. All right. He says Ryan Garcia does talk about God a lot. Yeah, he talk about God a lot, but yet he still be in the clubs, drinking and whatnot and cursing. So, I don't know. He could be, trying to get right. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of them out there. Andre Ward, Manny Pacquiao, Ryan Garcia, a former fighter, Peter Quillen. Who else? Who else out there? I'm trying to think. Really can't remember. It was another one. It was another one. All right. Kim says, I literally saw him talking and saying that he was going to bet his whole purse is all of his winnings. Well, let's go look that up right quick. Let's go look that up right quick. All right. Did Ryan Garcia bet his purse? So it says before the fight between Davis and Garcia, there was a big controversy because the two boxers bet the winners of the fight. In the end, Tank will let his rival keep the money. So Davis, he didn't want Ryan Garcia's money. He let him keep it. You know what I'm saying? So that was it right there. Yes, they made a bet, but Gervonta, let Ryan Garcia keep his money from the bet. You know what I'm saying? So that's cool. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? He says Gervonta Davis forgives. He said he forgives Ryan Garcia's bet and will let him keep his purse. He can keep the money. So that's it right there. As we researched it and things like that. All right. So Ryan Garcia's purse versus Tank. Let's just see. It says 2.5 million. 2.5 million Garcia is expected to get. You know, right? Jared James says, I pray that he truly get it right where God. Bull riding and boxing are one of the toughest sports. Well, I don't know about bull riding. Oh, yeah, Tyson Fury. Yep. Yep, you're right. All right. We're going to end this live, man. So until next time, when we have more live commentary, I believe Devin Haney is fighting, right? Devin Haney is fighting soon. He's fighting Lomachenko, I believe, on May the 20th, right? Let's see. Devin Haney, Loma fight. When is that? The 20th, I believe, of May. So definitely going to be live commentary there, you know, when it happens. Ryan is a Christian. He shouldn't have gambled anyway. Well, you know, you know. Dina Cole says, hey, brother, did that one dude send you the video of him doing 300 push-ups yet? Nope. 810-2K, where you at? Where them 300 push-ups at, man? You know, I didn't see that video yet. I didn't see that. He says, good night. I'm about to watch the Celtics. Hopefully they don't play garbage tonight. Shout out to the Celtics, you know. You know what I'm saying? So good night to everybody. You know, be on the lookout for more videos on this YouTube channel, more lives, Tony Harvin YouTube channel, and Tony Harvin Network YouTube channel, 2 YouTube channels that I, you know what I'm saying, manage and whatnot, and Tony Harvin TV. Tony Harvin TV, it's going to have nothing but Truth of God videos on there, Geno Jennings videos on there. Tony Harvin TV. Tune into that. That's where the Truth of God videos is going. You know, I think it's going to be like probably like 500 to 600 videos I got to put on there. You know, so that's what I'm working on, putting them videos up there. You know, we at probably at like almost 200 videos so far. I got to upload maybe 300-400 more, and more to come on that YouTube channel. So it's a lot of work. Bear with me. Definitely bear with me for sure. All right. No problem. Jalil Gibson, David Spann, God bless you too. God bless everybody. Until next time, man. I'm Tony Harvin. I'm signing off. May you all have a wonderful night and a wonderful evening. I'm out. Peace.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Do remember, if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right here and select all to receive all notifications upon the videos that come out on this channel. Also, my backup channel is Tony Harvin Network if you'd like to do the same.